Again, in our scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the material world is described as an ocean. It's described as a whole ocean of misery. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, we will agree that the world is like an ocean of misery. And the reason the ocean is used, is because, as we know, if you're dropped in the middle of the ocean, it's impossible to get out by yourself. No matter how good a swimmer you are, if you're in the middle of the ocean, there's no way you can get out of the ocean. See? So the material world is like that. We're basically dropped in the middle of the material world, and no matter how much we try to swim with all our material endeavors and this thing and that thing, it's still impossible to escape on our own. And so it's just the ocean of misery. The waves come in the ocean, the waves are continuously coming like here, continuously coming. So the miseries of the material world are continuously coming. One lifetime, the next lifetime, the next lifetime, the waves of motion, misery, they come. So the answer is that if you have a guide and you have a boat, then you can easily cross the ocean. So the body is called the boat. We are the spirit soul in the body. So the body is our ship, our vessel, so to speak. And the captain is the spiritual master. So if we allow the captain to drive the boat, our body, then this can be used to cross this ocean of material suffering. And the wind in the sails that drive the boat are the transcendental sounds, the hearing and the chanting of God's names. That's like the wind in the sails. This Vedic knowledge is like the wind in the sails, which the captain is guiding us. The wind is blowing the boat, and we can reach the other side. So alone we can't do it. But with the captain, we have the ship already, and if we allow the captain to take over, then we will be successful. And this reminds me of a story that actually happened one time on the north shore of Hawaii, on the island of Oahu. There's a big wave surfing spot, famous in the world, known as Waimea Bay. And I used to live right on the point at Waimea Bay. And when the big surf would come, my whole house would shake. In the middle of the night, sometimes we'd wake up, the house would be shaking, and it wasn't an earthquake. It was the big surf. That's how big it was. So one time there was this big swell came in, and the big wave surfers were out in the water surfing. And at that time, now it's changed, but at that time there weren't a lot of people that had the ability to surf that kind of waves. So in Hawaii at that time, there was a group, but it was a small group. And when the waves were big like that, they would be found in the water. So I was sitting on the point watching these guys surf. It was always a wonderful show. And I was a surfer, but I wasn't on that level. You see, that was above my pay grade, so to speak. That was out of my league. But I was always very enamored in watching these guys. So it was getting dark. It was late in the afternoon, and it was getting toward sunset and darkness. And most guys went in, okay? They caught one wave, and they went in and went in. And in the end, there was two guys out there. And actually, I knew both of those guys. And actually, there was a third guy, but he shouldn't have been there. He wasn't actually good enough to be in that situation. So we're watching, and the point was higher. The sea is down here, and we could see the waves coming from quite a distance. And so we saw this big set coming, maybe a 3 or 4 wave set. And it started coming, and these two guys in the water, plus this third guy, saw it coming. And they started paddling out, because you want to get outside of where it's going to break. You want to get over the wave. If you're where it breaks or inside of where it breaks, you got a problem. And this third guy, instead of doing that, he started paddling across the bay, because the waves normally broke off the point, and he was trying to get out of that zone so he could be safe out in the channel. So the waves kept getting bigger as they're coming. They gain, momentum, and they get larger and larger. And everybody's watching, the two guys in the water. One of them was Jock Sutherland, and I forget the other guy's name. And so he paddled over the first wave, down into the trough, over the second wave, just barely made it, down into the trough. And the third wave, he just made it over. And that wave was so big, it closed out the whole bay. The whole bay broke. And nobody's paying attention to this third guy. And so later I heard the story that when this third wave broke, Jock Sutherland didn't make it over. He dove down so the wave wouldn't take him. And he said he drove so deep, he was on the bottom holding on to rocks. And the wave was actually tearing the rocks up. And so he comes up, and then and this next wave broke. He's down, he comes up, and then he started paddling in, and he caught some white water, and he made it in. He was an amazing water person, And all the time, nobody's paying attention to this third guy. When this wave closed out the bay, he got completely wiped out. So now he's lost out there. It's almost dark. I mean, really close to dark. So I go down to the beach, and when I got there was some people that had been watching, and they understood this is a dangerous situation. So as I was standing there, I could hear this guy out in the water, help, help. And he's being carried by the rip current along the beach and then out to sea. And so Jock Sutherland came up to me and he said, you know where that guy is? And I said, not really, but I heard him out there. And he said, yeah, I wanted to go out and give him my board, and then I'd body surf the shore break. Man, the shore break was like, 15 feet. I couldn't even believe it. He's going out in the dark, give this guy his board, and then, body surf the shore break. Like, wow. But anyway, he didn't know exactly where the guy was. And they had called for a rescue helicopter. And everybody's waiting. Large crowd now has gathered. And everybody's waiting. Where's the helicopter? Where's the helicopter? And after some time, it seemed like a long time, but it probably wasn't. We heard the helicopter coming. Doo, 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 doo. And the helicopter comes over and he had a big searchlight, and shining his light down on the bay and starts looking for this guy. He looks, it looks. We're all waiting. Wow, is he going to find him? And then eventually the helicopter stopped, puts his light down, and we understood he found the guy. Dropped the basket down, and you could just see, because the lights are on this guy, you could kind of see from a distance what was happening. They dropped this basket down, and this guy jumped in the basket, man. He was like, phew. And then they pulled the basket up, and they came over to a little place right up from where we were and landed, and this guy got out. So I ran up there. It was really close. And this guy was like white, man. He was so scared, but he was so relieved. You know, he went, wow. But the point is, he couldn't save himself. See, he was in the ocean, you know, but he couldn't save himself. But he was rescued by the helicopter. So we can't save ourselves. You know, the spiritual master is the rescuer. And he can come and rescue us from this ocean of misery and take us out of the ocean completely back to safety, the spiritual world. So that's one story connected with the ocean.